So good morning, good morning. For those of you who are still in the morning part of the day, it is just gone early afternoon. It seriously still feels like morning, regardless, like for whatever reason. I think it's because I've screwed up my sleeping pattern so much that everything feels like morning, and then everything later on feels like evening, and there's no in between. Forget the afternoon. Well, basically, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. And a few interesting breaking newses overnight with the whole Bloomberg breaking that the Qatari party are essentially, you know, preparing to party um, with their sudden increase in confidence. I think the share price rose significantly yesterday, which was interesting with the action that had occurred. I think it's probably because of the talk that Bloomberg probably have, away from the press releases and all of that, because being such a massive uh, business reporting platform, you can imagine that there's probably quite a few conversations that happen away from the public eye, for them at least. So it probably explains the price surge with the public shares, because I think it was about 12 p.m. Midday. The share price went up to went from about sort of high $23 up into $25 something, and then the reports from Bloomberg and whatnot came out about the Sheikh Jassim and the Qatari party and 92 Foundation feeling more confident in their bid being successful, which I think it probably all feeds one thing into the other. But essentially, I think I've made the report on it last night that the Qatari group are feeling more confident. But the what we have had today, this morning, via the United View YouTube channel, Flex United did an interview with Heliod from the Bloomberg from the Bloomberg offices, and basically had a sit down chat with him, and basically they just went over the context of the situation as to why everything's, basically they're just clarifying why they reported what they did. And it was interesting to note that based off of the title in the video there, that I've added the question, if is Qatar the only bid left standing? Is Qatar the only bid left in this race? And it's a valid question to ask, considering the information that Heliot has supposedly revealed here. That essentially, as he puts it, as he's worded it, that Sergeant Ratcliffe's bid, the Ineos bid, is essentially dead. Is essentially dead in the water. Now, I thought the same thing. To be honest, I had the same feeling, because the whole complicating the matter just didn't make any sense to me. And I think when you start to complicate something that you could have just so, like, just based so simply, and you start playing around with percentages and all of that, you start to lose people's trust in you, and the conviction that based off of your intentions, people people stop buying it, right? People stop buying it really, really quick. And in business, that's what you should expect. If you're not straightforward, you're not cutting through the nonsense and the BS. If you're just straight to the point, people will have a bit more respect for you. But if you keep messing around, like the Ineos bid and Sergeant Ratcliffe bid has been doing, then you basically lose the sturdy ground. Now, supposedly, because I don't have a transcript of the actual interview itself, basically one of the key points that it's important to note is not so much with the majority shareholders part of the deal with the Ineos bid that is keeping it from happening. It's essentially the potential legal implications from the minorities and the hedge funds and the minority investment groups that have stakes in the public shares. Because what essentially is going on is the Ineos bid is only dealing with the Glazers shares, and all of the transactions there. But because it's essentially what's going on is, from what I'm perceiving this as, is Ineos are only really sort of giving payments or payouts to the Glazers by mass majority, but any payouts to minority investors, they're getting peanuts, absolutely peanuts, and it's like they're just excluded out of the picture. And something to do with that, um, basically the minority groups have threatened to say, well, look, Sheikh Jassim his bid would be giving us a fair deal, whereas Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid isn't. And if you go ahead with Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid, they've sent a letter to the United board, which has Joel and Abram on it, and said, look, if you go with Sir Jim's bid, you're going to have some trouble from us, and we're going to sue you. Essentially, that's the premise. That's the premise of what is going on. So, legal troubles, legal troubles for Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos's bid. So it can't really have any legs until Sir Jim or the Ineos group sort out, um, legal terms or legalities on the bids and everything, and basically fix things up on their end with the minority groups to avoid the trouble in them implementing their bid. But that could take a while, and that would mean Ineos have to, work out percentages again with all of these minority groups, which, I mean, it would mean more trouble, would spell more trouble um, for the Ineos group. Whereas, Sheikh Jassim and Qatar, the 9-2 Foundation, are just sat there just like, well, you're going to accept our bid or not? Now, supposedly from the same group, from Heliod, he has also stated that, with that being said, Qatar's bid valuation is still under what the Glazers want. To me, it doesn't really matter, because I always believed that in terms of something where they would have had the initial valuation handed to them, and they would have been told, the Glazers, they would have been told, this is how much the club is valued. This is how much us as professionals who value stuff for a living, this is what we value the club at. And then they go, oh, that's good. That's a lot of money. Okay, so about, what was it, 4 billion you said? Okay, we'll put it on the market at 6 billion. So straight away, everyone's just like, well, that's not realistic. You're not going to get that. The Glazers probably know they're not going to get that. But they've done what they've done to squeeze as much money out as possible, which is greedy. It's really, really greedy. It is not a fair trade. It's not fair exchange. It's not a fair transaction. It isn't a fair transaction, but sometimes in business things aren't fair. But the Glazers, the absolute greedy bastards that they are, the soulless bastards that they are, the debt collectors, in specialized terms of collecting their own debt and trying to make that number as extortionately big as possible, they will just hang in there and wait for the biggest bid possible to come in. And I think because now this reached a point where the most significant party, the most significant group or bid, is basically said, well, this is the no nonsense bid. We won't go higher than this. That's why the whole implication of, going to do more bids doesn't seem to have any life to it. So they're probably at the final stage now where it's like, well, okay, so we know now we can't get any more out of these groups, either of these groups. We're not going to get any more. So now we have to decide. And we've heard that it's potentially the infighting from the Glazers is the only reason why nothing has been accepted yet. So the Glazers are arguing, they're fighting, they're at sixes and sevens. They're arguing about all sorts of things. Yeah, God only knows why they should feel the need to argue about this when it's, well, at least to me and to other United supporters, the options are pretty obvious. The choice is pretty obvious, but obviously the obvious nature of this decision hasn't quite gotten through the Glazer family's thick skulls, or more specifically, Joel and Avram's thick skulls. God, fucking guy looking like a walking scrotum. But essentially, that is the most that we have thus far on the takeover front as it stands. Just as clarification as to why the Qatari group will be excited as they are, or confident as they are. Everyone on Twitter, the ITK saying, "Oh, congratulations, Sheikh Jassim, you've won." Those sorts of tweets are a bit stupid at the moment. Quite stupid, because no one's actually decided that Qatar have won. So there's no point in saying, "Oh yeah, we won, we won." No, we haven't. You haven't won. You haven't won, not yet. But anyways, on to the next point. Murtough Madness is crying again. It's not fair, guys. It's not fair. He can't get the players he wants. He can't do his job because everybody keeps pricing him out on the markets. People. Now, this comes via the United Stand Twitter, and source report was Laurie Whitwell. That people at MUFC feel selling clubs impose United tax on transfers. John Murtough experienced this last year with a young player who knew he had been quoted at £15 million. When United phoned his club, that fee nearly doubled to £28 million. This happened last year. I wonder who they're talking about. Obviously someone who didn't join the club. But cry more, John. Cry more. Actually cry more. Like, seriously, why should people sympathize with you when you are literally the negotiator and your job is to stop or to overcome other clubs or the selling clubs from taking you for a fool? That's literally your job. And if you're not good at your job, this is going to happen. Like, seriously. But I'm so surprised that I'll be seriously surprised if anyone genuinely believes this or feels sympathy for John Murtough. Like, seriously, I would be genuinely surprised because I can't for the life of me understand. I can't understand it, guys. I'm perplexed. My mind is at sixes and sevens. I can't believe it. You never hear another club's chief negotiator or director of football or anyone else like this come out publicly and say, but we can't do the transfers and it's not fair because everyone's being disgraceful or everyone's not treating us fairly. Seriously, Manchester United, right, have this inferiority complex or are instilling this inferiority complex. Why? Why do you pledge yourself as the victim? Why are you playing the victim card? And more importantly, why are you playing any victim cards or trying anything like this on a business market? And it is business. Player transfers is exchange of finances. So it's business. Seriously, if you show your belly in business, people won't take you seriously. They won't sympathize with you. They'll laugh at you. They will laugh your sorry ass out the building. They don't care. If anything, that you show your face to anyone in business anymore, ever again, whatever it is you're going for, you won't get it. You won't get it because you are spineless, because you are weak, because you play the victim cards. You are not strong in business. You are not strong. You are weak. You are feeble. That is it. That is it. There's no other way to dress this up than to address it as it is. You are weak, you are feeble, and quite frankly, for what you represent, you are a disgrace. You're an absolute disgrace. So seriously, right, regardless of if you sign all the transfer targets between now and the end of the transfer window, I still want you gone. I still want you gone. I wanted you gone last summer. I wanted you gone the summer before, even when you weren't in your director of football position. I don't care. I wanted you gone because I didn't believe the board was acceptable back then. I don't believe it's acceptable now. And because it wasn't acceptable back then means that my stance, the way I feel, hasn't changed. You know, I've blamed the board before managers for a long, long time. I think since David Moyes slash Louis Van Gaal, because I blamed Louis Van Gaal for a lot of things, and I was not focused on Ed Woodward. But the second that it was becoming more of a glaring problem that what Ed Woodward was doing in his position, that I start to notice everything else about the board was stingy and was off, was mouldy, was absolutely just clapped. So it just takes for people to open their eyes, right, and really assess this board in depth to realize just how incompetent and how bad they are at their jobs, and look at their track record to understand, you know, how every other board has at least got a competency to do the jobs that they're instilled with, that they've been appointed for, what they're getting paid to do, that they are doing their jobs. And that is literally it. So for anyone who feels sorry for John Murtough or Richard Arnold, seriously, don't. They took the piss last summer. They took the piss, the ever-loving piss last summer, by going on holiday to different locations in Europe. They went on holiday. And that's literally it. They just went on holiday. Like the John Murtough and Richard Arnold. They went to Barcelona on holiday. They didn't go to do deal negotiations because you didn't come back with the player and you spent the whole summer trying to do something that was the equivalent of banging your head against a brick wall and expecting it to not hurt. It's not going to work, is it? Just isn't going to work. So, anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think and how this news makes you feel as regards to the Qatari bid, whether you're feeling the excitement, whether you're ready to celebrate and wave at Qatari flags outside your house and whatnot, whether you're going to go dress up in the, sheikh outfits, with the white, I don't know what you call them. Do you call them turbans? I don't think you call them turbans. I think you call them something else. But the robes that the Qatari sheikhs wear, get those on order. Start wearing those around your house with sandals, and you know, do everything you want to do to celebrate a potential new era. Right? If you're feeling like that, if you're feeling Qatari, do share that love, spread that love in the comment section, but also with that like button, share that love with the like button and the subscription button, because it will massively, massively help this channel to grow and to get this more of a stable, long-term thing. But or as opposed to that, you could report this video, you could report this channel for all sorts of grief and dislike the videos and leave hateful comments. You might feel that it's necessary to do that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't control you. I can't control you. I'm not the PR machine. I'm not inscribing that you do as I say. So, it's all up to you. You have at it. But that's it from me for now. And I'm catching you real soon. Ciao for now.